All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs. Appreciate it as always. Anything that you want to get into more of a deep dive to, I do more information, more details in depth in the news on our live market blog. If you're interested, make sure to go to our website. Link is in the description below. Let's rock and roll. All right. Well, I think we should just talk about the elephant in the room, NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now trading at 753.01 or oh 06 currently. I have a 4-hour chart open, which shows after hours. We did break previous all-time highs, as you know, which was right around 750 or so. We're about $3 above it. Currently, we're at 775. As an NVIDIA shareholder, this is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be too upset. But we're going to go over some of the details of what I see and see if we can get our next move for today. Let's go and take a look. I know I got some questions. Let's go and get started. Good morning, Vietnam. I love that movie. Good morning, Zoom Balloon. Okay, so if you're looking on the left side of your screen currently, you can see the Dow's up 218, the Nasdaq's up 2%, S&P was down 1.38, Russell down up about 0.21, 30-year Treasury yields. This is the 10, but 30-year Treasury yields hit its highest point since December. Just want to give that heads up. Dollar is flat. The VIX getting crushed. Thank you, NVIDIA, 7.3% at 14.22. Crude oil is slightly down. Gasoline is slightly down. We also had the claims, unemployment claims, excuse me. Unemployment claims came in this morning better than expected, lower than expected. Layoffs be damned. We put that information on the live market blog as well. But pretty much if you're here, you probably wanted to know the aftermath of NVIDIA. So let's give a couple of background points here. NVIDIA had an exceptional quarter. See, we're talking 92 Dream Team, GOAT type stuff. Think of the highest expectations you can think of. That's what Wall Street did. And NVIDIA surpassed and smashed it across the board. And the assumption was, everyone, me included, was that it didn't matter about the earnings. They're just going to sell this. Now, was I wrong? Well, I was right around 4:30 p.m. We hit 650, but we bounced. So we do have a slight gap to fill. My target was, if we were going to hit downside, would be 600. 630 was that gap fill in the daily, but we broke above that. That's fine. The question is now, is the new all-time highs, which was yesterday's all-time high, 750, will that be our support? I want to keep an eye and see if this gets sold this morning, because I'm not sure at the end of the day. I'm really not sure. Again, great price action. Listen, the company got cheaper. The growth of revenue is faster than the stock. So we're starting to get into that point of like, holy crap, now expectations even go even higher. You know, Patrick Mahomes wins 2 Super Bowls back to back. The expectation is do something that no one's ever done, get to 3. NVIDIA, what is next? Well, after all-time highs, we talked about this with Microsoft and Meta. Difficult. It's just difficult to do anything. Either you think you're going to moon to 1,000, 2,000, whatever number you want, imagination-wise, or we can wait and see how the dust settles. And that's what I'm going to do here today. I want to see how NVIDIA does. I really want to see if it holds 750. If it breaks below 750, now it gets interesting. 700 is possibly, not saying for sure, possibly in play. I was definitely more bearish towards this print than I was optimistic. I was optimistic that they were going to beat, they were going to do great, but the guidance, the call, everything was as Goldilocks as you can think. Really. What a great company. What more can we say about NVIDIA? We've been trading that name since 2017, 2018, when those were around $80 a share. Back in my day, AMD was trading at around $25 a share, 26. It's at 164 now, but been a minute. We've seen the growth of this baby, that's for sure. I think NVIDIA will announce a stock split later this year. That would be great. I don't know if they will. They have before, as we know. I'll tell you this, if NVIDIA was added to the Dow instead of Intel and you swap them out, you know, that'd be fun. I can't really comment on what the executives want to do. Remember, guys, the CEO of NVIDIA has been selling shares before too. Bezos was selling shares, stock went up. Zuckerberg sold shares, stock went up. The Walmart family to pay for the Broncos sold shares, stock goes up. All these names that these executives are selling, which most people are getting spooked at, they just continue to go. Yeah, man. You were just mentioned something about yachts. I assume Jeff Bezos is building a navy at this point, selling $2.6 billion in Amazon shares. But listen, you mean the guy's the founder? He's the CEO. He can do whatever he wants with his money. If he wants to buy yachts, have at it, man. He earned it at the end of the day. You know, that's why he has the shares. Most rich people, what they do is that they'll just borrow against their holdings, because selling stock, you have to file, and then you got to face your shareholders saying, why did I sell? So most rich people that have stocks, stock options, they borrow against it and have that cash liquidity so they don't have to touch the asset. Think of it as your margin account on your brokerage, or think of it as a home equity loan towards your home. Same thing. It's just asset-backed loans. That's how rich people usually do it, because loans are not income. That's not taxed. So that's just how they do it. But obviously, Jeff Bezos had some bills to pay or had something in mind. So, you know, the NVIDIA CEO as well. I mean, the writing was on the wall. He was selling shares too, and executives were selling. Doesn't mean it's going to tank, but I mean, that's just some of the things that is kind of interesting about the name with NVIDIA, is that having that high expectation, it still continued to grind higher. I mean, it had every excuse to fall: seasonality, overbought, tech is too heavy, and it just does its own thing. So for all the analysis in the world, at the end of the day, guys, the market's going to do whatever the hell it pleases. I know NVIDIA surpassed Amazon and Google in terms of market capitalization. How much percent weight does NVIDIA now have in the S&P? That's a really good question. I believe at the end of March, we will be getting a rebalancing. So possibly, because that's the end of the first quarter. So that number is subject to change. I'd have to look it up. Zoom balloon. I can see if I can bring it up here. If we just spy, let's see. I'm just bringing up my tablet here. It's just a lot easier. NVIDIA SPY weight. In the S&P 500 SPY index, it's about 4% of the index, with Apple being 6.34% and Microsoft being 7%. NVIDIA is above Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire. Well, they're above Google technically, because Google has two different types of classes of shares. GOOGL is at 2%, and GOOG, which is 1.69%. So that comes out to around 3.69. Yeah, no, NVIDIA is still higher than them. Yep. Broadcom, Tesla, Chase, new all-time highs yesterday. United Health, love that stock. Visa, Exxon, Johnson & Johnson, MasterCard, Procter & Gamble, and Home Depot, and Merck. They round out the 20. Shout out to Costco. They're number 21 on the list with a 0.77 rating. So there you go. Trade the SH. Yeah, you could do SH. NVIDIA is the biggest part of it. We talked about that in 2023. Top 10 stocks of 2023. Semiconductors, we know the drill. The issue now, guys, is can they fill the demand? I mean, NVIDIA's at this point now, they got drug lord money, drug lord revenue, drug lord profit. They just can't get enough of these chips. So that really is the question. We know they're great. NVIDIA, no hating there. Love them to death. But how long is this sustainable is really the question. I apologize for being a little bit negative. And I just want you guys to be prepared that, hey, I just want a discount. I'm not trying to get too upset here. But in terms of the market, that's where NVIDIA is. Let's take a look at AMD. I have AMD calls. It did bounce. Excellent. We're above this wedge now. Again, back above it. The question is, do we get the push with NVIDIA? It is now at 750. So with that being said, we have to watch the open and how the day goes. That's key, because it needs to get above 180. The only thing I fear is that we chop around and we run out of time. We also did QQQ puts yesterday. Just a heads up. Some may have closed it. I know for a fact a couple of them did for 25%. I held in my mind as really the expectation of NVIDIA falling. And I was expecting that. It just didn't happen. So that was kind of a hedge towards the hedge in a sense. I had AMD exposure for NVIDIA. So worst case scenario, we chop around and I lose both, but that's okay. I got other stocks in mind that I'm keeping an eye on. Again, it is Thursday. It is a short week, but we'll do the best we can. I really want to keep an eye on Palo Alto. I know. Carlos, are you crazy? Just bounced off the 200-day. I'm not saying go buy 360 calls, but let's take a look at the options market, see if we get some a path to the gap fill. I just love the fact that it bounced off this 200-day. That's it. I still have my bear hat on for Tesla and Apple. I'm sorry, but they're underperforming, and that's where we are. You could see this resistance line we broke over a couple times, but now we're getting back down to a downward trend on the 1 hour chart until we get above 10 or 205, I guess. Really can't do much here, guys. So we're going to extend this to the right, and you can see unless we get above 200, maybe 205, we're really not going to do much on Tesla except short it. So we got as low this week to 188, and that's where we are. We'll see if we break that, and then we can target 185 to 180 for next week. In terms of Apple, watching that too. Listen, guys, I love Apple, but this is a downward trend, and I still want to hit puts. We hit puts on Apple and Tesla this week on Tuesday, so we got those, but I want to hit them again, and I think we get a pullback. I know. NVIDIA saved the world. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. Yes, and it does look like it did. We have this trend line breakout. What's the next target? Oh man, let's go and take a look. Next target, if we stick to this kind of channel here, been very respected. We're probably looking at 5181 to 5200. Yeah, I know, crazy. Again, it just really S&P just has to hold 4956. That's really it. I had a support here at 5,000, broke below it. We did NQ short yesterday, futures. We caught that. Well done to Nick. But that's what we're looking at. So far, so good. Hard to be a bear in a bull market, guys. Hard to play reversals. You have to be on time. And then real quick on NASDAQ, what a move. But there is cause of concern. We had some resistance here, the breakout, came back up, got back to that level, reversed it again. 18,000, 17.9. I know the $100 levels. 17.9. That's the key resistance I'm looking for. If that rejects and NVIDIA gets sold off, which it's pulling back, not selling off, it's just pulling back slightly, NASDAQ may be a little heavy. Could be. We're not there yet. Got to get below 17,461. We're far away from home, Alice. CMG, why is it so expensive? 2,500 per share. Because they never did a stock split. That's all. They just never done one. So when they do, which they should, whenever they want, that's when it'll be a little cheaper. NVIDIA's done stock splits. Apple used to be $800 a share back in the day. Amazon was $2,900, $3,000 back in the day. Google, Alphabet was like $2,800 back in the day. They all do stock splits. That's really it. I guess the expectation that CMG will do it. Do I own Tesla shares? So yeah, of course. I had Tesla shares for a while. We're just trading around it at the end of the day. And Microsoft. Let's take a look at it. Microsoft, we need 410.12. Can you see that we're rejecting a little bit? I know. Permabull that I always am, but it's the seasonality in February. It kind of gets kind of weird into March. The only thing is the saving grace to me, where I'm like, okay, I guess we are going to go higher. Me being a bear is being dumb, is the dollar. The dollar rejected perfectly 105. So we're kind of at a midpoint with the dollar. If the dollar gets above 105, equities are going to pull back. If we get below 103.50, then it's all skies clear. We'll see you at the airport. We're going to go higher in stocks. It's just the reality. The hardest thing is pinpointing when these things happen. You can have your analysis, fine, but you can't just do blanket analysis. Oh, we're going to fall. Great. When? How much? That's where the money is at the end of the day, is getting the timing right. So we're trying our best to do that. We did that this week with puts. And in terms of calls, well, AMD calls is we'll see what the jury's out if NVIDIA bounces back or not. Nike, yep, unfortunately, in terms of trading the option, hasn't been easy. In terms of owning the stock, I mean, listen, I'm a huge Nike fan. I love Nike. I wear Nike sneakers, Jordans, you name it. So owning Nike really isn't about, I want to make 10x my money, because that's not going to happen with a value name like Nike. They're an older company, unless you expect insane growth, which I don't. They pay a dividend. I own the sneakers. And kind of a weird thing I used to do was that I would buy stocks when I bought something rather expensive back in the day. And if I bought sneakers, I bought a couple of shares of Nike. I didn't do it often, but it was kind of a little quirk I used to do. And, you have a piece in the game of a company that you actually consume, like you like them. Same thing with Starbucks. Starbucks is a pain in the behind to own, but I love the company in terms of their damn drinks. And if you consume the product of the company, you're more than likely going to stay in through the volatility or the crap or the headlines. Because at the end of the day, if we just bring up Nike, again, zoom out. Yeah, doesn't look amazing at this. Oh, sorry. Let me see here. Zoom out here, guys. I mean, since 2005, the thing was at $10 a share. Now it's at 105. I assume this is some splits here and there. So again, 179 being high, the highs, we're far away from home. But as a Nike fan, a sneaker fan, someone who loves to buy and wear sneakers, I don't sell sneakers or anything. You almost have to own Nike. You almost have to give your tribute to Nike, which is nice. But again, you don't have to own it. That's up to you. But at the end of the day, I think being a shareholder of companies that you consume and enjoy their products is always a good way to be an investor because you're going to stick with it. You know, when you start buying companies that you have no idea what they do, you're more than likely going to sell. That's just the reality. So with that being said, guys, we'll go and leave it there. Have a great rest of your morning. Let's see what NVIDIA does. One last check on it. We're hitting that 750 level. Pardon me for being a little nervous, but again, we'll see if we use that as support. If that bounces, 800 is probably next, guys. If not 850, so we will see. Have a great rest of your morning. And again, for additional details and commentary, make sure to go to our live market blog, www.garrett.capital, free of charge for our Discord, live market blog, free plan. Choose that. Thoughts on SPY going up? Did I miss that? My apologies. Yeah, well, I talked about ES. I'm sorry. So SPY already broke out. Now you're going to be at all-time highs. Welcome to the party. So we'll go ahead and place this trend line here. Nice breakout. The question, just like NVIDIA, can it hold 503 to 500? That's really it. And yes, if it does, we're going to go higher. The pain trade is higher, guys. Everyone is expecting something to go wrong. I did a podcast on it, if you guys remember. I had to red team it, give the other side. I had not even a thought in my head. I'm thinking to myself, the worst case scenarios we saw on NVIDIA, and we did. Worst case scenario meaning the unexpected. And this was pretty much unexpected because the expectations were so high. The question on SPY is, can it hold 503 to around 502? And if it does, you're going higher. And when you're at all-time highs, sky's the limit in terms of your imagination. But NASDAQ is rejecting. Be careful. Be careful, guys. Don't jump into anything right away. Let the market play out. I'll walk you guys through it on the Discord, as always, premium masterclass on the watches and charts. Some really great things coming. We're working on the bot to give you guys direct information throughout the overnight session or whatever. So you have everything right there on the Discord. It'll be free, of course. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.